the first two fights were two of the best female fights of all time. So to say, to even think that we don't want to see the third fight seems crazy and sounds crazy. I do want to see the third fight, but I also want to see Chantel Cameron get a just desserts. I think it's the right word. Because that should have happened, and it didn't. She got absolutely shafted. No two ways about it. And I'm not going to mince my words. Might get in trouble for it. She did. We'll talk about that in a second. I'll come for your opinion on this, Daz. But I'm just going to talk about this fight as it is and why they're doing it. And this is going to be quite historic in the sense that it's going to be the first all-female card, I think, in the States, especially at this level. And it's also live on Netflix, which is massive for female boxing. Absolutely massive. I can't explain to you how big this is for female boxing. This could potentially, Daz, draw the biggest numbers for any fight for a very long time. Because
probably will.
Because it's open to everybody. People will watch this that don't watch boxing. People will watch it because of the antics of Jake Paul. We all know what I think about Jake Paul. But what I will say is, as a promoter, he's done an amazing job with Amanda Serrano. And he's doing an amazing job with female fighters. Yeah. He puts his money where his mouth is. He does things that other promoters don't do, like he pays fighters full amounts for when fights get pulled. I think he did that for the last fight when Serrano got ill. The opponent got paid in full. Who does that? No one does that. No. So there's lots I don't like about Jake Paul, but I wish he would just stick to promotion. He could be a great promoter, mate. He has all the pull. He's got all the contacts clearly because he's got this fight live on Netflix. So I'll come to you, mate. Firstly, react to what I've just said there, and then secondly, tell me why you don't really want to see this fight next.
It's not. I agree with you 100%, mate. Where Jake Paul's concerned and what path he could take, and judging by what's happening over the pond, it could be a bit of a breath of fresh air as a promoter, Jake. To be fair. But that's another story. But the fight, I mean, listen. Yeah, I mean, the fight is, I'll watch it, but I'm not, and I think it'll be a cracking fight again. I think it'll be an amazing fight. But again, why do we need to see it when Katie Taylor's won 2 fights? What happens if Serrano gets the nod this one? Are they going to do it again? And then if Serrano gets nod again, are they going to do it again?
Well, she should have got the nod in the first fight.
Listen, who?
Serrano.
Oh, Serrano. Yeah,
I think Serrano won the first fight.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, it was close fights. Katie won the second one more convincingly than the first. But, at the end of the day, it's 2-0. And for me, there's a far more deserving fighter of a fight with Katie Taylor, and that's Chantel 100%. Cameron. So I think she's been stiffed over, to be fair.
Yeah.
So
it definitely looks like she's out in the cold, mate, don't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it looks that way.
I mean, Katie Taylor's got this fight. I mean, I'm not even convinced. And this is probably going to rile a few people, but I'm not even convinced Eddie Hearn's interested in making the fight at Croke Park anymore.
Probably not.
Because of things that are going on and things that have been said.
Yeah. However, now it looks like there was talk about Eddie Hearn's lack of interest for women's boxing. That may change now with the situations over in Saudi. That may change. He might think, yeah, we'll get these female fighters on because Dana and Turkey will be doing their own thing.
Yeah, well, I know you're bubbling to talk about it, mate.
Yeah.
I know you're bubbling to talk about it.
Yeah, listen, I'll
we're
wait.
going to do
wait.
that. We're going to, for anyone watching this, we're going to do a show on that in the week. And I know that a lot of lads that we have a WhatsApp group, boxing WhatsApp group, I've got a lot to say about this. There'll be some very strong opinions in that conversation. But Sean, Daz has made it very clear there that he thinks Chantel Cameron should be getting this fight and not Serrano. I completely see where he's coming from, and I agree. If we don't, and we're clearly not getting the Chantel Cameron. If there was one other fighter that should be getting the fight and not Chantel, then it's got to be Amanda Serrano. What's your take on it, mate?
Yeah, right. I agree with what Daz has just said there. To be honest, I think for Katie Taylor's perspective, I mean, let's be honest, she's at the twilight of her career now. Maybe got 1 or 2 fights left at the most, and for her, it's all about maximising the most money she can. So I don't think you can begrudge her on that front for taking this fight. I think that's fair enough. But I think we would all love to see her and Chantel Cameron fight. Maybe even in Ireland for one last time. Katie Taylor sort of ride out into the sunset, and I think sort of going forward, that won't be her done in boxing. To be honest, I think she likes the sport so much. She's got a pivotal role to play in women's boxing going forward.
I would love to see her become a spokesperson for women's boxing or an ambassador, or I don't know what whether she trains anybody. I don't know if she goes down that route. I don't know. I've not seen anything about it. If she does, imagine the wealth and knowledge she could bring to the game if she decided to go down the route of training.
Yeah. I mean, given the knowledge and experience she has, I mean, I'm not quite sure how it works, but I mean, she could bring a whole sort of cycle and generation through of Ireland amateur boxers. So she's got the respect, she's got the recognition. I mean, I guess the world's the oyster, really, with what she can do going forward.
What's your take on the epicness of this show itself? First all-female card in the States, as far as I'm aware. I might be wrong on that. Drop your comments in the comments section after this and tell me otherwise. It's definitely the first all-female card that's going to be live on Netflix, and that's absolutely huge. I can't explain how important that is for female boxing.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think in female boxing, really. I think in female sports in general, it's such a big opportunity for everyone watching, Imagine the generations of girls and women it will inspire. So it's absolutely massive, and I don't think there's any downplaying it, really. And I think even the people that have the sort of detractors and people that may knock it, I just don't see how you can, to be honest, because everyone's got the opportunity to do what they want, and I think it's huge, and it puts the sort of the detractors in their place.
I haven't seen. I might be wrong, and I might have misread, but I haven't seen a venue been named for this yet. Have either you two?
Yeah, I think it's at Madison Square Garden.
Right, yeah, that's where it should be as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's fitting. That venue's fitting. Obviously, New York's full of Irish. It's also full of Puerto Ricans. The first atmosphere at the Garden for that first fight was ridiculous. And it probably made American fight fans sit up and pay attention to what is possible in the world of female boxing. And this is going to shock Carl when he watches this back. He'll probably collapse because I'm going to do something I never thought I'd do, and that's praise Jake Paul for what he's doing. Seriously though, guys, I can't explain just how important I think his role could be in female boxing going forward. It doesn't look at the minute.
In boxing,
you might be right, Daz. In boxing, yeah, you might be right that Eddie Hearn might change his tune a little bit, and you might see him put more female fighters on. I'm still not convinced. But this could be the little niche market for Jake Paul to do massive things. If he's got this in with Netflix like he clearly has, imagine what he could do. Because what seems to be happening that we're going to talk about on Thursday, what seems to be happening, the deal that's happening with Turki Al-Sheikh and TKO and Dana White, there's clearly going to be a massive shift in the world of boxing. I don't think that'll involve females, and that's to the detriment of the sport. Jake Paul could change all that. And maybe that's exactly what he's thinking. And this is a massive statement. This card, in its own right, is a massive statement to that effect. What's your thinking on that, Daz?
Yeah, he could well see a little bit of a way in and take it. He's obviously a clever businessman. So listen, let's just hope that boxing, female and male boxing, thrives. Let's hope it thrives between them all, because that's the sport we love, isn't it? So the end goal is we want it all to be successful. So
Jake's not been shy on calling out people, has he? He's certainly not been shy on calling out Dana White for the amount he pays his fighters in the UFC.
Yeah.
There's a reason. There'll be a reason for Dana White and the structure that he has in the UFC. But the fighters themselves, there's not many fighters that come out and say Dana White pays the best bucks. You get the very odd few, the Ronda Rouseys and the Conor McGregors, that make the serious money, because they draw all the eyes. They bring all the.
I mean, Dana pays a 50 grand KO bonus to every fighter if they get KO, win by KO.
Yeah, you don't see that in boxing, do you?
No.
And obviously we get the difference there is we get the best fight in the best. There's no arguments. There's no ifs, buts, and maybes. No one's hiding behind sanctioning bodies. Again, this is something we'll talk about on Thursday's show. But Jake is very outspoken about fighters getting paid what they deserve to get paid. So good on him for that. That's one thing I'll back him on, and I have a lot of respect for the way that he handles Amanda Serrano and the way he handles her opponents and the shows that he puts on. I can imagine this is going to be an absolutely epic show. It'd be really good to get some British fighters on that. Whether that'll happen or not, we'll see. But yeah, can't wait to see what happens with this card, to be honest. Sean, last word. I'll give you the last word on this show, mate. What's your take on what Jake Paul's doing here with this female card?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I give him all props for that. Really, I mean, I guess in a way he's almost becoming the Turkey for female boxing, which I think's long overdue. Someone that gives them the sort of paychecks and the credit they deserve. So you can't knock him for that. And long may it continue, to be honest, because to be fair to him, as you boys have said, as a promoter, you can't knock him. He's got the sort of profile. He's got even the knowledge, I would say. So I think there's all props to him. I mean, as for British fighters on the undercard, you would like to hope so. Even Irish fighters as well. So you would like to think there'll be a mix, and let's hope it's a success, as I'm sure it will be.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to bring the show to an end. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining. We're going to have a really interesting show in the middle of the week, talking about the Turki Al-Sheikh, TKO, Dana White promotional deal, I think they're calling it. There's been a very interesting press conference where Dana White was asked a question about boxing. I don't know if you guys have seen it. We'll talk about that because he's given a very interesting answer. I I'm sure you've both seen it. If not, I'm sure you will. But we'll talk about that on Thursday. But for now, this has been Last Bowl Boxing. Like, comment, subscribe, and look out for the next show. Cheers, guys.
See you there, pal.